Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, Executive Editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Ripe for Reissue of Volume 472,817. I mean, there's so many things that could be reissued, aren't there? But today I want to talk for a bit about this object. Günter Wand, The Great Recordings. Well, I mean, according to who? Well, that's another issue, isn't it? Günter Wand, just in case you forgot, it feels so snugly this way. Oh, it feels so good. Günter Wand was a fairly unknown German Kapellmeister type guy who late in life was rediscovered as a forgotten master of the basic German repertoire, particularly Bruckner. They're back. Yes, only because of the senseless duplication business that his career entailed. Because what he did was, he got rediscovered by RCA, good for them, and they proceeded to record and record and record the same stuff over and 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 over. Get it? Unbelievable, insane. It was the last great sort of effusion of discographic insanity as the classical music industry, sank into its current torpor. I mean, it was just unbelievable what they were doing with this guy. One recording after another of mostly the same stuff. Mostly. He had some sense of discipline. He would not record certain things that he did extremely well, or thought he did extremely well, like by Beethoven. But, Henry Fogel got a hold of him. He was manager of the Chicago Symphony and brought him to Chicago, which was sort of like, the good housekeeping seal of musical approval, musically speaking. He'd recorded stuff there, Mozart and Brahms and Beethoven. But essentially, we have piles of duplicative stuff. And then once RCA got done with him, all the other independent people with access to radio archives got a hold of him. Profil, for example, has this enormous Günter Wand edition based on German radio recordings. And in Japan, NDR, they couldn't get, not NDR, NHK, those are the people. They couldn't get enough of him. So there's a huge Günter Wand edition in Japan. And it's all the same stuff. Your basic German repertoire. It's Brahms and Bruckner and Beethoven with a little smattering of Mendelssohn and Schumann thrown in. And occasionally he did pictures at an exhibition. In his day, he was known as a modern music guy. He did lots of Messiaen, that kind of stuff. But not as an old man. He returned to his roots. The performances are marvelous. They're really almost all first-class performances. The differences are minor. Depends what orchestra he was working with. Sometimes they were with Cologne Radio. Sometimes they were with NDR. Some of them, the prestige ones, were with the Berlin Philharmonic, which mostly weren't as good as the ones with the NDR. It's beyond nuts. So now what have we got? RCA does tons and tons of duplicative repertoire, box after box, and then they delete them. Now, there are some budgie boxes out, like Bruckner symphonies and Beethoven symphonies and a couple other things. I think one of his 2 Brahms cycles is still around, 2 official Brahms cycles. There were other performances, of course. So stuff floats around. But this box was The Great Recordings. Were they the Great Recordings? Well, what do we got? The first Beethoven cycle, absolutely great. The Brahms cycle with NDR. There were 2 of them. The first one is better than the second one. This one, I think, is the second one. I have to go and check the dates. I don't have the patience. Bruckner Symphonies with Cologne Radio, complete. That was his only complete cycle. Because after that, he just did 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is with Cologne Radio. But his later performances are better of the later symphonies. Then we've got the complete Schubert symphonies. Very, very good. But his later versions of 8 and 9 with NDR, not Berlin, are better. Absolutely. Schumann symphonies 3 and 4. He wasn't so big on Schumann. Tchaikovsky, 5 and 6. Oh, they're wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Then we've got this pictures at an exhibition in Debussy, The Martyrdom of Saint Sebastian. Are they part of his great recordings? I wouldn't say so, but he didn't do them otherwise, for RCA anyway. So they threw him in the box. And then we've got Mozart, Symphonies 39 through 41, the Hofner Serenade. Fabulous. Wonderful. Then they have modern pictures. Stravinsky, Fortner, Webern, and Frank Martin. Well, cool to have, for sure. Very nice to have. And finally, a DVD, My Life, My Music. Oh, including the last interview. Very touching. Okay, look. Look, the guy did great stuff. It's out there. Somebody needs to put it together and issue a sensible Günter Wand edition. Of course. I mean, he deserves the edition. Do we need 7 recordings of Bruckner's Ninth? Well, not really. I mean, we don't, but they did it. They recorded it. So what's the point in sitting on it? But who's going to sort it out? Who at the label knows what the best stuff is? Who's going to make choices? Who can decide? Nobody. There's nobody out there who knows how to deal with the legacy of Günter Wand. It's madness. Absolute madness. But he deserves a sensible, serious, comprehensive edition nonetheless. So there it is. Keep on listening, friends. Take care.